Hello, it's Davy Mooney coming to you from the University of North Texas, where I run the jazz guitar program. I'm a Benedetto artist, Sunnyside Records artist. Got my 4 Sunnyside records up here, and Way Back is coming very soon. I got my CDs in the mail. It's officially released on June 9th, and working on some tour dates in the summer and into the fall. Some Brazil stuff. Thinking about popping over to Argentina. Hopefully some Mexico and some Texas domestic dates in the fall. Working on it, So trying to find my way back. And then we got my 2 books, Personalizing Jazz Vocabulary and Into the Labyrinth, An Anatomy of Position Playing for Jazz Guitar. And getting towards the end of the semester out here. I don't know when you'll see this video, but it's mid-April. And a few more weeks of class, and then juries and all that good stuff. But I want to talk to you today about a beautiful Wayne Shorter song. We lost Wayne a few weeks back. Haven't had a chance to do a video on one of his tunes until now. But the song Nefertiti, which is a beautiful 16-bar Wayne tune. He has a whole series of these 16-bar songs, like Fall and Iris. There's a bunch of them, He was, I love all his music. This song is a really haunting, beautiful melody and some very rich harmonies with all the, Wayne Shorter trademarks of kind of deceptive progressions. You'll be in have a chord progression that you think you know where it's going to go, and then he throws some curveballs at you. And I talk about this progression, or some changes based on this progression in Personalizing Jazz Vocabulary, because I wanted to include some, we're talking about jazz vocabulary, include some more modern progressions. Although it's funny because we say modern, and the song is from, I believe the record came out in '67, so we're looking half a century ago. And yet it took a long time, I think, for jazz musicians to process this harmony, in the sense, coming from a jazz vocabulary and just jazz improvisation, from that standpoint, how to be able to improvise over these changes the way we would improvise over, I don't know, I'll Remember April, or something else, or Along Came Betty even, because it's not just chromatic 2/5s or modulations to strange keys, or even the pattern like a Giant Steps or something. This is more, in the best possible way, I think of it as kind of whimsical and modal, in the sense that he just lets the harmony go wherever he wants it to go, and he's genius composer, so it's really amazing what he comes up with. And of course, this song is very legendary in jazz history, due to the fact that on the original recording they don't solo at all. They just play the melody over and over again for 6-7 minutes, and the drums get kind of crazy. Everything gets, it doesn't get that crazy in terms of, they always stick with the form, but it's definitely not a head solos, head out kind of thing. And I think that recording and that sort of history of the song maybe intimidates people a little bit, and the sort of again, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but the lack of clarity of what's actually going on, even on some of the changes, and the fact that I wish we had access to, maybe we will at some point, like in those all those Miles documentaries and things. Miles talks about there was this book of tunes that Wayne would bring to these recording sessions. So I wonder what the original chart of this looked like, if there were chord symbols. I don't know, really have no idea. And there's a chart in the new Real Book, which is not the original Real Book, but the legal one, so I assume they had some access to, I think those legal ones, they must have checked their lead sheets with the composers, I guess. I don't know. There's that one. It seems fairly accurate, and these days YouTube has got lots of people transcribe the voicings that Herbie is playing. I don't see anybody transcribe the bass line, though maybe I should look for that, because the bass goes pretty out there. Just on the first chorus and the head in, you're like, what is he trying to, is he soloing? Is that something? It's hard to say what that was about. Then again, there's another recording that I really love from the Mark Turner Ballad Session album. Really great with, is that Blade and Grenadier? I think so. I should look it up. Oh well. Mark Turner and Kurt Rosenwinkel, one of my favorite records, from that era, early 2000s, when I was first becoming aware of the Rosenwinkel sound on guitar, and I was very much a Joe Pass, Wes Montgomery, Steve Mazikowski, Pat Martino type dude, and just the way he plays over the changes, very naturally and also musically, very expressive. Although the changes that they do on that recording are slightly different than the original changes, if we can even say what the original changes are. So anyway, talk about the tune a little bit. I think everybody agrees the first chord is like an A flat major 7, sharp 11, and the melody you got. And then the second chord, Herbie plays, you got this thing, and then the second chord he plays like a kind of D flat sus. And yet the melody very much goes to the major 7. So the Mark Turner version, they pretty much play A flat major 7, sharp 11 to D flat major 7. Kind of just like 1/4 maybe in the key of A flat. So you got, then you had G minor 7 flat 5. Or sorry, then did a C7 flat 9. Then B major 7 or B major 9. And those chords are pretty much the same on, other than the D flat sus versus D flat major 7 on Mark Turner's version and the original Miles version. And then it gets a little bit abstract. Herbie, I think on the original, he plays some kind of, sounds like still like a B major 7 for the bar number 6. So A flat major, D flat major, G minor 7 flat 5, C7, B major, and Ron Carter starts playing some other stuff, so you don't really hear a root note there, but it sounds like Herbie's playing that, like a B major 7 sharp 11, and then a B flat minor 7 flat 5 to an E flat 7. But on the Mark Turner version, I actually really like what they do there. On the second 4 bars, they go like B major 7, so then B flat minor 11. A major 7 to E flat 7, sharp 11. So those middle few chords in the second phrase, instead of B major 7, sharp 11, B flat minor 7, flat 5, E flat 7, they go B major 9, B flat minor 11. And it fits the melody. And then instead of B flat minor 7, flat 5, they play A major 7 to E flat. So the bass motion's kind of nice. You have instead of and are they allowed to do that? Well, they did it. It's really nice. I like those changes, and when I blow on this later, I'm going to use those chords, so sue me. And then so it's really interesting. And the B flat minor 7 flat 5 versus A major, the upper structure is actually pretty similar. Like if you look at the top part of, like, especially this voicing right here, if you look A flat, D flat, E, with B flat in the bass is B flat minor 7 flat 5, but if you put A in the bass, it's A major 7. And the bass note, at least on later choruses, on the original version, you hear him play a B flat there, but on the first chorus, it's not really that clear. So then it's really the third 8 bars that is kind of the hardest thing for me to play over and remember and just deal with. So he goes, you got an E major 7, and then he starts using these triads. It's kind of cool. So like E major 7 to maybe A7 sus, where the melody is a D triad, and then there's this mystery chord here. So the third chord of the third phrase, is it A flat 7 sharp 11? Is it that sound over B flat? At one point in the Mark Turner record, I think the first chorus, Kurt Rosenwinkel plays like this kind of sound over it, which is like, I don't know, I can't hear exactly what he's playing, but it sounds like an E flat major 7 sound, but not with no third. So I don't know. I kind of think of it as 7 sus. So you have like E major to like a D triad over A in the melody, and then this A flat 7, or maybe there's a B flat in the bass, to an E triad with G flat in the bass. Okay, G flat 7 sus. Then the last couple bars you have, or the last 4 bars, you have an E 7 sus to a E flat 7 sharp 11. And then sometimes there's B flat in the bass there, so it's B flat minor major 7. So it's funny, the last 4 bars, it's kind of like what he does in Iris. I think that's why I think about this song a little bit like Iris, where you get that dominant 7 sharp 11. You know, for the last 4 bars of Iris, you have this 2 bars of D flat 7 sharp 11. Whereas in the earlier parts of the song, the harmony moves at a lot faster clip and harmonic rhythm. You don't get like, I mean, Nefertiti, you get 3 bars of the same sound, basically the same modality. So yeah, chords one more time. So A flat major 7 sharp 11, D flat major 7, or maybe D flat sus, although the melody hits the major 7, G minor 7 flat 5, C7 flat 9, B major 7, B major 9, and then Mark Turner plays B flat minor 11 there. Miles and them stay on B major again. Mark Turner goes to A major. Miles and them play B flat minor 7 flat 5, E flat 7 sharp 11, maybe with a flat 9, then E major, A7 sus, maybe A flat 7 sharp 11, or that sound over B flat, whatever you call that chord, to G flat 7 sus. It's like an E triad in the melody. E7 sus, E flat 7 sharp 11, B flat minor major 7, E flat 7 sharp 11. So yeah, and like I said on the original, Ron Caro said like they were kind of didn't want to mess with the changes. They were so you know, so unusual for the time, and I don't think that they had like a month to shed the tune. You know, you need some time to. Although I bet Herbie could have like. Anyway, but you know, I have this theory. I don't know if it's totally half-baked or 3/4 baked, but I kind of feel like part of the project of the whole jazz education industrial complex is to kind of make sense of these types of tunes, and you know, the fact that on especially those Miles records in the 60s with the, you know, second quintet, sometimes the tunes, the harmonies on the head, you know, when they got to solo, they didn't really play on those harmonies. They might have played on some other stuff or just kind of played more free. And maybe, you know, part of our chord scale theory and all that is to kind of just make sense of the modality of these tunes mixed with the functional progressions that are going on. Like, so for the beginning, you know, you can kind of think of it in the key of A flat, at least at the beginning. You got 1, 4, and then like a 2, 5 to the 6, right? So. It's just, instead of going to, say, F minor or F major or anything like that, it goes to B. But that's not that strange, because you know, C7 can go to B. And I was playing this in a guitar departmental the other day, and a student asked about, like, you know, how do you make G minor 7 flat 5 C7 go to B? And one way is if you think of the C7 altered as kind of like an F sharp triad over C. And I think Rosenwinkel does this on his solo or his comping somewhere, I can't remember. And F sharp major triad also works very well on B major 7. So right, if I play off of an F sharp triad on the C7, that triad is still consonant on the B major 7, and it's sort of like common tone modulations, or modulations through sort of what do you say, like pivot notes, counterpoint, voice leading. I call it, in this book, I came up with the term negative guide tones. You know, differentiate between, you know, you look for when the harmony is moving in unusual ways, you can look for the notes that stay the same rather than the notes that change. Right? Like B flat. It's the flat 7 of C7 and major 7 to B. And it's kind of just like a tritone sub. Instead of going to F, C7 can go to B. So that's the first bit, and then it gets, if you follow the Mark Turner changes, B major 7 to B flat minor. If you make the B major be kind of a sharp 11, B flat minor pentatonic will get you through both of those chords. Or the melody on the B flat, if you think of it as a B flat minor instead of another B major like they do in the Miles version, you could do B flat Dorian, right? Because that's A flat major again. You're still kind of in an A flat major, tonality. So. A major 7. If you're thinking in the key of A flat, it's just a half step above. That's some kind of augmented 6 chord. I don't know. I never quite figured that stuff out. But so yeah, that second bit. Then E flat 7. Almost like a 5 of 4, maybe, like going to the 4 chord, perhaps. Thus, the first 8 bars aren't that unusual, right? If you take it out of the context of the experimental nature of that original recording, like if it were just A flat, D flat, G minor 7 flat 5, C7 flat 9, alter, B major, B flat minor, A major. To go to D flat again. But then the third 4 bars, like bars, what is that, 9 to 12, are a little strange. And so I think he gets more sort of impressionistic and modal there. So yeah, E major 7 to A7 sus. And then let's call it A flat 7 sharp 11 to G flat 7 sus. And then I think it kind of goes into the first chord of the last 4 bars to E7 sus. So those 5 bars, I don't really know any other way to analyze that or interpret it outside of thinking of chord scales and modes and things like that. Not that you have to always play a 7-note scale, but those sounds are pretty well described by our chord scale and modal vocabulary. So E major, E Ionian. You can play pentatonics, you can play G sharp minor pentatonic, but it's kind of like E major to E minor, A7 sus. Or if you want to think of them as major scales, E major scale to your D major scale. A flat 7 sharp 11, it's kind of Lydian dominant. E flat melodic minor, then G flat 7 sus, G flat mixolydian, which is B major, and then E7 sus, A major, right? So, that's why I tell my students, if you don't know your scales, it's not all about the scales, and vocabulary is very important too. Although, in the original, they didn't give you any vocabulary on this song. All you had was the melody, so yeah. You can play off the melody, or embellish that with some notes from the chord scales. E major. Then the last 3 bars, very much like E flat, B flat melodic minor. I guess you could go whole tone if you wanted to. But those last 8 bars. So again, you can see how the first 8 bars, especially if you do the Mark Turner changes, are not that far off of sort of, almost like Benny Golson, late 50s into early 60s, all those tunes like Lee Morgan tunes and Kenny Dorham tunes and Harold Land tunes. But, Wayne gets into that real impressionistic type harmony that you don't hear in those other composers. In this part. A beautiful tune, and I always have this this funny idea that what if, you know, some of the tunes that the Miles Band recorded in the 60s had been like, I don't know if it was written at the time, but had been played by like Art Blakey, you know, you can see the song. Bobby Timmons playing piano. I don't know about this part. Anyway, I'm going to play some, improvise some choruses on those Mark Turner changes. But yeah, beautiful tune, and don't be intimidated by this song. It's really nice to play on. And all right, take care.